All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to part two of the Torchbearers Reentry Initiative. First and foremost, let's give praises to the Most High God. The next thing we want to do is praise all those individuals who have been released from incarceration, whether it was a federal prison, a state prison, or a county jail. You're very fortunate to have been granted such a privilege. And before I start, also, this is one of the major praises that must go out is to all of you women who support men that have been snared in by the criminal justice system. And it doesn't matter if you're in the state of Texas, or you're all the way in New York, or Georgia, or California, Alabama, Louisiana. The prison system is basically the same even around the globe. Another sense of comfort I want to give to the people that are struggling with the worries of dealing with someone who's incarcerated right now during this coronavirus. There are some troubling reports. They did a report the other day. What they're saying on the federal level, they haven't gave us the state numbers, that 70% of the inmates that are in prison are have been tested positive for the virus. Moving on, we're going to try to make this as time efficient. This particular segment is catered and directed towards people that are newly released from prison, and we're going to talk about what living free is really about, as brief as we can. All right, so without any other further ado, if you're listening to this video, you find information useful, we ask that you pass this information on. Go to our YouTube page, which you can find at Scientific Urbanism on the YouTube. We will also include a link. And if you're looking at the video and you are in a YouTube window, please press the subscribe button. It's very important that we get this information to everybody, because a lot of this information comes from an institutional setting. The first thing we want to talk about is the first 90 days. So jumping right into this thing, because we gave a lot of information in the first video in the part one. If you haven't seen part one, go back and watch part one and then come to part two. The first thing that is most important about a person leaving the institution and coming back into society is the first 90 days. In our setting, we like to equivalize this to a major musician or music artist dropping an album. It goes platinum for 90 days. So your first 90 days of a person being released, they're gonna be like a hit. People haven't seen them in a long time. Everyone wants to gather around. It's the latest gossip. People coming in and they're willing to assist and help. People you haven't even heard of who refuse to visit, people who refuse to write, old girlfriends, old relatives that you haven't heard from. Everyone comes in and converges amongst the individual that's being released. And then they got about a 90-day period to make some quick actions. And if they don't, people start to drift away. So if you don't take advantage of your first 90 days being released, you're going to miss a lot of jewels. So you need to guard your first 90 days. So the way we prepare for this is we have workshops, living free workshops. We used to do reentry work from inside of the prison, and we made sure that everyone had a plan for release. Now listen to this closely. 99% of people incarcerated are all ready to come home. Everybody wants to get out. But the sad fact is, only about 10 to 20% of them are actually ready to be released. Now let's go over that again now. Everyone wants to get out of jail or prison, but everyone is not ready. In order to be released, you have to have a release plan. Now, the institution have certain type of reentry programs, and they try to align and do a profile to make sure that you are ready to be released. But those things are limited. All right, all they're doing is utilizing state mandated funds that's based on trying to quell recidivism, and it's very bland because it's not uniquely catered to each particular situation. In some states, they just hand you a pamphlet full of resources that may even be outdated. And they say, well, here go your resources. They take some names down and ask you a few questions, and they file that. And they turn those records in annually to continue funding. So it's a money grab. I always tell y'all in other videos, I talk about the money grab. So with the Torchbearer Foundation Reentry Assistance and Prisoner Family Support Program, we do a system of making a release plan and a toolbox full of resources to make sure that an individual can make a proper transition. Now, you got a lot of so-called experts in the reentry business. Yes, it's become a business. But only one who has actually dealt with the internal workings of the system and happen to be released and have challenged and dealt with the circumstances of release is truly qualified. All right. So one of the things I want us to cater in on, if it may be a good idea, we can do this afterwards, but Torchbearer Foundation, one word, .weebly.com. Weebly, WEEBLY.com is our platform. And one of the things we go over is the 12-point program. Now, today we're not reading the 12-point program. What we want to talk about today is the first 90 days. All right. So that first 90 days, there are some decisions that must be made. All right. And what a person has to do in their own release plan. So if you have someone that is incarcerated, scheduled to be released, newly released, this is a critical thing. Before they make any other move, make sure that they have a release plan. And that release plan should be at least 2 years long. And the problem with in the science behind this 2 years is that recidivism rates, statistically speaking, say that 60 to 70% of people released from prison will be reincarcerated within 6 months to about 5 years. But we found that if we can successfully get people to the 2-year mark, their chances of being recidivizing is very, is limited, is lowered. So the first 90 days, and in this first 90 days, the first thing we need to look at is how they're going to attain the 7 essentials. So they're going to need food, they're going to need shelter, they're going to need clothing, they're going to need transportation, they're going to have to learn how to reintegrate to recreate in life, they're going to have to move towards becoming independent, and they need a legal source of income. All right, I'm going to repeat that. This is a part of the plan. This is how we structure the plan. All right, your focus needs to be on how are you going to feed yourself? Where are you going to live? How are you going to obtain clothing? How are you going to get around? How are you going to enjoy yourself when you have downtime? How are you going to become independent? And how are you going to earn a positive source of income? So the first 90 days is predicated on that. So when a person is released and people come in and start moving in, the releasee, as they call a parolee or ex-felon, we don't like those terms. We call them releasees. The Torchbearer Foundation is a fraternal order of releasees, all right, and their families, all right. And so what we deal with is that if someone approaches a newly released person, the first conversation is about those 7 essentials. And I have a plan. So when you get out, your conversation is what is the latest happenings, where I'm going to get my first drink, where I'm going to get my first high, where I'm going to get my first piece of sex, where I'm going to get my first stack of cash. No, those are not the essentials. The essentials are The first thing I need to know is my 7 essentials and how I'm going to obtain those 7 essentials. All right. So that's the first 90 days. And it has to be in the plan. And we got to be realistic. All right. With how we're going to approach these things. If this is not established in the first 90 days, we deem that a red zone. The person is in trouble. Because now, after the 90 days and the album is no longer platinum, health starts to wither away because people are watching, and most prisoners talk a big game when they're incarcerated. You know, it's almost, you can walk around a rec yard, you hear people talking about being released, it's like they're going to take over the world. Every individual, when they own inflamed ego, thinks that they're going to become the next Bill Gates, all right, upon release. The greatest rapper ever rapped upon release. The greatest entrepreneur upon release. The greatest this, the greatest that. And they not ready. And this not being prepared starts to erode family relations, especially for married prisoners. Because you've taught a game and you've been incarcerated, and technology is changing in society. Now, it used to be every 90 days. Now technology changes almost every 2 weeks. New technology is coming out. So a lot of prisoners come out, and because the technology is advanced, the psychology of the people has been digitalized, and people are moving. And people get out and they're stuck in a time warp. All right, so this first 90 days is very important. All right, so now when we talk about this first 90 days, we move into the critical era. What is the role of family and friends? So in our release plan, we start to write down positive people. All right, positive people for forming effective relationships. So that's the next. So once we outline the top 7 essentials, then we start making a list of positive people, all right, that's going to have an effective role in our lives. All right. And once we identify who these people are, then I tell people, you know what I'm saying? If you don't have 10 people of your own, then you need to have 10 organizations where people will be willing to assist. All right. 10 organizations. So a lot of people say, well, I don't have nobody. When I went to prison, I got in, this person left, this person died, this person passed on. I don't want to fool with the same people. Okay, there are organizations. All right. One of your number 1 organizations should be your spiritual institution. All right. I didn't say your religious institution. I'm saying a spiritual institution. Whether you so-called join or belong to an institution, when you go to a spiritual institution, you're going to find people, God-fearing people who are willing to assist and help you, but you got to put your pride down, go in and request assistance. And if they don't give you assistance at one spiritual location, go to the next and the next and the next and the next. Don't be deterred. And this release thing requires a certain degree of courage, because a lot of us have speaking impediments and ego shallow elements to where we are afraid to, well, I can't ask, that just ain't me, and you're going to get rid of all that if you're going to survive. This is war. And so in order to survive, you got to know who your people are going to be, who are going to be on your team. And we say you need at least 10, because some of those people are going to be limited in what they can do. So the role of family, if you are a family member, is to take the information you're receiving in this video, replay it, make your own action plan, and then start now 6 months into the person's being released and start getting the strategy together. Because this is a team effort. The family must understand this reentry process, and a lot of families don't. They go out and buy a lot of stuff and clothes and get all this stuff, and they like, you know, so they thinking this is what it's not about that. It's about the plan. See, the plan supersedes the material things. We got to have a plan. Don't just go buy things. To buy things, they have to be things that are going to assist the plan. All right. And so now the role of family and friends and others is to assist with the plan. Now, the next thing we do before I go on is we create a mission statement on our plan. You have to make a mission statement. My mission, it can be simple. My mission is to re-enter society, become a productive citizen, an outstanding father, loving parent, and to fulfill the objectives in my plan. Be that simple. All right, it don't take a whole lot. You ain't got to write a book. Just a simple mission statement. In this mission statement, we tell her this is your quiet time statement. So the first thing we tell a person is when you get released, you need to get away from everybody. All right. Go somewhere, get away from everybody for 20 minutes to an hour and go over your release plan and your mission statement by yourself to breathe and really reflect on the fact that you have transitioned and now you're out. No, people don't even get this 20 minutes an hour. The moment they leave the release gates, they're thrust into this pandemonium and they never even get the things that they thought about are erased immediately from the mind because it is so much activity going on out here. And so if you don't put in your mission statement, the first thing we got to do is have quiet time. You know what I'm saying? I tell brothers, I take a week or two of quiet time and just absorb and just reflect and watch and listen. Don't start doing like, don't rush out here to go do this and rush. What you in a rush for? A lot of brothers don't understand that in the state of Texas, where we are, we work a year, 2 years. If you stay in there 20 years, you work for free. There's no salary. And when you release after working for free, and I'm talking about brothers that are engineers, brothers that are janitors, brothers that are cooks, brothers that work in laundries and furniture factories and metal fab factories and doing skilled work, electricians, farm agriculture industry, don't get a dime when they release. They get $50 upon release and $50 when they see a parole officer. $100 for hours and hours and hours of work. So you survived. All right. So why not get into this rush? All right. Because they're trying to keep up and they're trying to buy into the false reality of success. So living free is about removing, when we get in our 12-point program, go to the website, see the 12-point program, this artificial idea of success that money and material success equates me being validated back into my peer group. You have to realize whatever your peer group was is not the same anymore. All right. Most of us go back and associate with people who didn't give a damn while we was incarcerated. I've watched people get visits from their mothers and their wives and their siblings for years and then get out and don't even associate with them, go right back into the filth and destruction and the vices that led them to incarceration. So this first 90 days predicates on, rehashing it, understanding that you have a 90-day window, that you must have a release plan, that you must plan for the first 2 years, put it in segments of 90-day to 6-month segments for 2 years. And don't worry, we'll go back over this. But one of the main things, you need a mission statement that coincides with your 7 needed essentials. And when you leave that institution, your first destination is to a quiet place, to meditate, to pray, to thank God for your release, to absorb a spirit of appreciation for those that are around you, and to identify the 10 people who are going to be a part of your reentry process. All right. Now we tell people to contact us immediately. All right. I have over 12 individuals that I continue to stay in contact with by phone and by mail that are incarcerated, and they know the drill. All right. So moving on, the role of family members, the role of the family and friends. Let me tell you, family and friends, something. Your first and most important thing is to make sure that this person sticks to the routine. And the moment they start deviating from the routine, it's your job to weigh in. And to weigh in, and don't be deterred because of attitudes and things. Stand your ground. Stand your ground. And if they start to rebel and deviate, then you start to move away. Because some people, like I told you, they're just not ready to be released. And this is the sad fact. We got to realize that if you're going to, it's one thing to lie to people, but when you lie to yourself, then you are mentally unbalanced. This is what I say. Lying to people may be an act of defense. It may be a strategy. But when you lie to yourself, being self-deceived is a form of mental imbalancement. All right. So moving on, the role of family. we have to make them stick to the plan. Make them stick to the plan. All right. The next thing I want to talk about in this brief session is resources. So I get a lot of people that tell, well, man, I got an X on my back, or they won't hire me here. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I just don't know how I'm gonna make it. Ain't no jobs out here. All that is bullshit. Excuse my language for you ladies out there, but it just is what it is. I've had 10 years in the institution, and brothers of mine and brothers that have came out our platform are thriving. Everything from becoming college graduates to forming nonprofit organization, businesses, you name it. They have excelled, not only fit in, but they've excelled and surpassed people that have been out here for years. So that's a myth, all right? And we're gonna dispel that myth. So the first thing we want to talk about is being incarcerated, you lost skill time. Now, if you was doing something skill related in there, the best thing for you to do, all right, is to get out and get into college and vocational training. You qualify for the Pell Grant, $5,775, and most WorkSource commissions or WorkSource solutions will give you $6,000 to go to school. So you qualify for educational money to go get a vocational trade. All right, so don't say that. And the reason I tell people to go to college is because not only that, you're going to get refunds from your college grants that is going to be useful money that you can use for transportation. So a lot of people jump out and go to work. I say, hey, before you get out and get a job, go and get you a skill. And I tell them at least go to school to acquire the associates in the particular field, because you're going to be getting about anywhere from $8,000 to $13,000 a year extra money. All right, depending on what state you're in, if you take your unsubsidized and subsidized loans with your Pell Grant. And don't worry about this. Don't buy into this, well, these student loans, I don't want student loans. Get out of that old stuff. Obama passed what is called the Payee Grant in 2012. All right, go look at Payee. And Payee Grant basically says that, Payee Act basically says you go to school, you finish college, you're only required after that to pay 10% of what your monthly earnings are. And some fields have what is called academic forgiveness towards the loan, to where you don't even have to pay it back. But if you pay toward it for 10 years in the minimum amount, they erase it. They erase it. So don't let people tell you about this student loan stuff, and then your education and skills is one of the top investments you can make. It's not just a skill. This is an investment into your social currency. So I tell people, get out and go enroll in school. And then when you enroll in school and you start to get the grant refund, you can take that $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 and go buy you a cash vehicle. You can go buy a cash vehicle. Don't jump out in. First thing you want to do is hurry and go grab a job. Get out of here and get you a skill. And I'm going to tell you why this is pertinent. So you can get out and go straight to school, and then you qualify on the food level for food stamps. Yeah, you can get emergency food stamps. Well, a lot of people say, well, for some reason I don't qualify for food stamps. Well, I don't know where you're at where you don't qualify for emergency food stamps, especially living in a household where the earnings are very low. But you can put down homeless, because technically speaking, that's not your home. That's a parole address. All right. That's a release address. You can still cite with the institutions that are providing your food stamps that you are homeless and you're just residing with someone until you can do better for yourself, and you can receive emergency food stamp in some places for $500 worth of food. All right. In the state of Texas, if that don't work for you, like in the city of Houston, we have food banks and food pantries at ministries like NAM Ministries. Will provide it. Port Wall will provide food and allow you to go in and grocery shop $200 and something per month worth of food. So the first thing I want you to look into is getting your food substitutes, and don't be embarrassed about this. All right. You've been in a situation where you've been demoralized to the lowest possible level, and people get out here and they have issues with food stamp and riding the bus. And I'm asking people for favors. That's a form of insanity. All right. You're setting yourself up to deconstruct and go right back into the institution because of your pride. And your scripture tells you that the pride, this type of perverted pride, is the precursor to what? Destruction. All right. So we tell people go to school. Now, if you do decide to go to work, then your first line of defense is going to always be staffing agents. So let's quell all this mess about can't find a job. If you're able, you got driving license or you got ID and you got a social security card, personnel services and staffing companies, all you got to do is Google the staffing companies in your area. And after you sign up with 2 or 3 or 4, you going to work. And if you are responsible and you can work and be on time and you can be respectful and work and to show your worth and value to a company, you're gonna be hired. And you're gonna transition from a temporary situation with a staffing company into a permanent situation. And some of the brothers I know, they making $20, $30, $40 an hour after transforming from making $9 or $10 or $12 an hour. And don't tell me what you can't work for, because you come out of a situation where if you are in a state where you was earning money, it was pennies for the value of your work. All right. Now, we're going to rehash this and start posting some of these resources online. So the first thing is understanding that the first goal would encourage to go get vocational and college training, take advantage of the grant money and the funding that is there. Slow down, follow the plan, get the skill. And while you get the skill, you're going to be paid to go to school. All right. Essentially by receiving the refunds from your financial aid, which will allow you to move towards transportation and money for other things. All right. The same thing you can. All right. Like I was saying, we have technical difficulties sometimes. Like I was saying, you get your college vocation. To me, going the educational route to learn a skill is first for all the benefits I've explained. If you do go to get benefits from this arena, I want y'all to take something in consideration. If you really don't know what you want to do, all right, then these are 3 fields. Truck driving. Truck driving getting your CDL allows you to re-enter society and fall right back in, because the salary that a truck driver makes can equivalent what a doctor makes, what a lawyer makes, what anyone in a prestigious career makes. And we try to move people towards a career setting versus just having a job. All right, no disrespect if you have to go work at McDonald's. All right, but you shouldn't have to if you follow what we give you. All right, go and get your CDL. Getting on the road driving is like therapy. It removes you from your environments, to people, places, and things that lead to relapsing and recidivism type activities. The next one we talk about is going to work in the chemical field. Now, right now, the jobs in that field is going to be iffy, but in that industrial field, if your state is thriving in that, you can go back and get right back into the mix of going to the chemical field. All right. And then for some of you, working offshore. All right, we tell them. But there's also welding. Welding is a good career. You can go in and get your certification in 6, 7, 9 months easy. All right, some have fast track programs where they can do it in 90 days. All right, so welding, crane operation. Crane operation is good. But our 3 primarily is to tell people to go into truck driving, you work in a chemical plant, or you go offshore. And all those, you can search the salaries on those. They pay well and they hire. They are second chance friendly people where they are hire so-called ex-felons. All right. Now, your felonies that are on your record, your convictions, most places are going to go back no more than 7 years. All right. Some people as low as 3 years. All right. Some people don't care at all. So it's not a hindrance. All right. But you need to look at these fields. All right. AC and refrigeration repair is another good field to go look at in terms of being newly released. But don't try to get out of prison and think you're finna go be a medical doctor. That you finna go and I'm gonna just say, stay in the lines of reality. Okay, stay in the lines of reality, because once you have been allowed to be ensnared in the criminal justice system, you got to work through that. And we're going to talk about that in the end. All right. So looking for these type of employment or employment, and their time is, once again, it's a Google search away. You go to Google, you search staffing agencies, employment agencies, temporary services in your state, in your city, and it's going to pop up, and you start to go in and apply, fill out the application. Now, this is a thing we do on the inside. And the reason I don't like spending a lot of time, because there's so many people that will help you. And that's having a proper resume. We will do some resume coaching classes that we'll post online in terms of how to effectively design and create a winning resume. But it's really very simple. And I'd ask you to go to YouTube and just listen to some of the people, how they construct resumes. One thing I will add that'll be trouble is work history. So if you worked in an industry while you was incarcerated, it's real simple. In Texas, you put TCI, Texas Correctional Industry. You just put TCI. You work for TCI. A lot of now legislators allow now that before you get released, you can get a letter of recommendation for the particular field from the person that you were working for during your incarceration. They can do that. When we set up parole packages to present to the parole board, another issue we need to get into, effective parole packages, you can go and get a reference letter from the people that you've been working for, all right? Especially if you work for years, all right? A lot of places have OJT training certificates. Take those certificates, those certifications, and they go on your resume, all right? And you can create a resume to make up for all that time, because you're not just going to be incarcerated and not have some type of line of work unless you are medically restricted. And if you're medically restricted, if you get out and you're medically restricted, then you're going to qualify for disability. And that's another thing we can get into. We're going to get into a lot of things in the future. I talked to one of my mentors, and I was encouraged to try to make these videos as short and sweet as I can. So today, if I appear to be moving fast, I'm trying to drop a sound bite, give you some valid information, allow you to have some value from it, and move on. And we're going to be doing several parts to it anyway. All right, so some other resources. If you're in Texas, you got places like Horizon Outreach. This is a nonprofit organization that will assist you with everything from getting your ID to getting your TWIC card, because if you're going to go into certain industries, you're going to need a TWIC card. So you can get your TWIC card from these agents. They teach in forklift, flagging. They have other certifications and help with traffic tickets and traffic violations, pilots. All this stuff can be received. You have Volunteers of America. All right, you have Operation ID. You can go through Operation ID and get your identification, your birth certificate, so you can get your ID and your social security card. All these things are provided. You don't have to come out of the pocket with a dime, so there are no excuses, because you're not going to work without a social security card in the form of ID. All right, some places will allow you to show a birth certificate and a valid ID, but you need to get these things. It's simple. You can go online and get your social security card. All right. So there's no excuse. So staffing companies is going to be the first. I'm not going to even talk about all the companies that are hiring. Actually, I'm going to tell you, start with staffing companies. Okay. And everybody from UPS to the Kroger's and most of your distribution companies for grocery stores, all of those hire in the second chance initiative. They give people that have been incarcerated opportunities to work. So having that resource. So we talked about food. You can go get food from your food pantries and your food banks. There are ministries that you can do that have food. All right. And you can go in and get food from those things. All right. Most of your cities have plasma cities. Like we have Grifols, Biomat in the city of Houston, in Texas. You can go and get plasma. That's $500 a month. $300 to $500 a month, and just giving plasma. Twice a week you can go and get 50, 60, depending on where you at. Dollars extra money that can be transportation money, and you're helping people because there's a plasma shortage, especially through this virus, international blood shortages. All right, a lot of people, I don't like needles and all this. Once again, we're going to have to man up or woman up and go through the chamber. You took TB tests and other examinations while incarcerated. All right. So these resources need to be understood that they're there. So I don't care what city you're in, they have an ID program. So you go to your employment center your county or state employment center, and then you qualify for an array of benefits. They even help you to get tools. They help you to get work clothing. They give you money, gas money if you have transportation. They give you bus tokens. And why we speaking on this bus thing? Let me tell you, brothers. I didn't even have to ride the bus. I was fortunate. But there came a time where me and my queen had to share transportation, and I got on the bus. I didn't have to. I had money. I could have went bought a vehicle cash and did this, but I rode the bus, the metro. And sometimes it was very hot. It was raining. It was cold. But I went through this and I enjoyed it because I had been incarcerated, and it was beautiful for me to get out and see the city. We have the new light rail train in the city, and I enjoyed myself. All right. I wasn't worried about who gonna see me at the bus stop. They hadn't seen me in 12 years. All right. So it didn't matter to me. I was a man. All right. People ride the bus. You got people that park their cars at park and rides and then get on the bus to go to work to save gas money. So I don't want to hear this. I'm not a bus person. Yes, you are. This is a mode of transportation. This is public transportation. You get free tokens and free bus cards to ride. That's your transportation. We need to get into that. All right. And recognize that. Moving on, dealing with resources. Your family and friends are your greatest pool of resources because everyone knows somebody. So a lot of time finding the next job is about communicating through your network. All right. Now you have Salvation Army in states. All right. You have other nonprofit organizations set up in states. On Facebook, you have many reentry programs. You can go in and join reentry groups in your city and put in a post and ask brothers and sisters, do they know anyone that is hiring ex-felons? And they'll tell you right off the rip, yeah, I can get you in over here. One thing about us as newly releasees, we are so willing to help one another because we understand the struggle. So right now what we did is eliminated the excuses, all right, why a person cannot get out and be successful and reintegrate properly, all right? So rehashing that, first 90 days, having a release plan, identifying your 10 people, having some quiet time, all these things, you're gonna have to replay this video. You might have to play it over and over because this is just a soundbite, all right? So you shouldn't have any excuse getting your ID because there are organizations that will get your ID. You shouldn't have an excuse finding employment because there are staffing companies that got thousands of companies calling them daily for assignments. And based on your skill levels, you'll be ready. But if you go to school first and take advantage of the financial aid, you're going to be ahead of the game. It'll seem like you're behind because you're like, wow, I'm not earned. But every time you get that lump sum, you can go 3 semesters. You can go in the spring semester, the summer short semester, and the fall, and 3 times real quick accumulate financial resources and get a certified skill that will bring value to your resume. And a lot of them have job placement. All right. So a thing I want to talk a few minutes now to the family. You have to realize as a loved one that you're going to have to be patient. All right. Do not put pressure on a person. We live in a society now where women are into a system of want to strike out and express on a high level their independence and their rights and their roles. And a lot of times this equates to women taking upon masculine qualities in the role of nature. And they'll be hard on a man trying to make transition. A lot of women will make a man feel worthless if he don't have certain material things. We got to stop this. If a person was locked up a year or more, it's going to take twice that time. For every year that a person did incarcerated, it's going to take double to 3 times that much time for them to get back to a position of proper function. This ain't no overnight. You got dudes get out, man, give me 6 months and I'm on. All right. So if you are fortunate one of them and you are at a place in 6 months, just realize where you're going to be at in 2-3 years if you stick to your program. But don't have no expectations that are premature. All right. This is a journey. Living free is a process and a journey. This is why we instill a 12-point program on our website so the person can regraph their thinking in their mind and put some universal principles into play to survive. All right. So the family, you have to be patient. All right. And if you're a newly released person, you got to understand that people have lived without you and they formed a lifestyle and you're trying to come back in and take lead and take charge. No, you got to step back and gradually move yourself in as you gain your independence. So let's talk about the recreation and independence. I'm going to be brief on the recreation because there's no time in it for today. Do not recreate with people or in places that pose a threat to your freedom. Did you hear what I say? Don't recreate with people or in places that pose a threat to your freedom. All right. So what I learned to do is to spend time with my significant other. All right. To go out and do things, even when I go shopping, to turn it into a date, to turn it into an event, going shopping, going out to eat, going to a movie theater, going to visit family and friends, going to spiritual services. All right. So when you get out to recreate, you need to regraph your recreation, change your format of recreation. There are a lot of things that you can do, all right, that you may not have been accustomed doing. Just driving down and going to the beach and looking at the water and walking on the beach is a form of recreation. You can go fishing. They will have escape rooms, which are new adventurous activities that you can get involved. They have wine and painting, and you don't have to drink an alcoholic beverage. You can drink juice, and you can go in and sit and just do painting and sit and have new experiences in form of your recreation. What I mean right now, because I don't want to step on different people's tastes and styles, be creative with your recreation. Do things that you always wanted to do and couldn't do. You sat there and you was looking, man, I think that would be fun. When you was incarcerated watching TV, regraft it. You know what I'm saying? Skating, ice skating, skiing, bike riding. You know what I'm saying? One of the number one first things I did, I told everyone my first form of transportation was going to be a bicycle for recreational purposes and for transportation. I went and bought me a bicycle. And I like riding my bike. All right. Moving around is fun. Take you back into childhood. It's good for therapy of the mind. This is good recreation. Having social get-togethers at your resident where you are. If you're dealing with people you can't invite to your resident, you're fooling with the wrong people. All right. So regraph your recreation. Now it's independence. So let's deal with this so we can close. The last thing I'm gonna get over is about clemency. Let's deal with this independence. In order to be independent, number one, you have to have your own purpose and objective. So that's your plan. Your plan is your independent blueprint. Then you need to be able to have acquired a career skill. You need to be able to have a bank account. All right. To save and do transactions in society, you need to have accumulated transportation. And in transportation, don't go buy no new car. Go buy you a cash car, 800, 900, 1,000, or go to a note lot, a pre-owned lot, and get you something that's under 10,000 and pay notes. And even if they charge you a little more, the goal is to acquire an asset in the form of transportation, something you can pay off in a year and be done with it. And that's an asset now in terms of transportation. Don't try to run to the show out for a bunch of people that didn't give a damn in the first place. Get you some stable transportation. And then once you got one form of transportation, you can do work on that transportation. We teach people how to upgrade from one form of transportation to the next to where they can get their dream form of transportation. All right. So that's independence. The next thing is you need to have your own wardrobe. All right. And I tell people, man, buy you one shirt and one pair of pants a week for 6 months. And you're going to accumulate that. You know what I'm saying? And once a month, buy you a pair of shoes. All right. Dress shoes, casual shoes, and sports shoes. You don't go out every week shopping. You do this once a month. Twice we get you a pair of shirt, and you can shop from everywhere from Walmart to the mall. There are always deals, and online you'll find deals and specials. Or like the Hope Center on 1960, there are places you can go and they give away. People have donated clothes, Salvation Army. And these are rich people or the people that give to charity. You'll find every name brand under the sun. All right. In terms of your independence. All right. We're going to stop there. on these things because we're going to dig in this thing. The other thing is we've already talked about having income, but I want to stress financial literacy. So I would ask you to watch videos that deal with financial literacy to make it real simple. No matter what you earn, take 10% of that and put it in a separate account. All right, 10% of that and put it in a separate account. All right, and then we're going to start talking about credit building and all these other things. The last thing before I go, clemency. This is a big thing for people in Texas, clemency. And the reason it's a big thing is because our system is called the Texas Board of Pardons and Parole. Most states have pardons and parole. We've left the pardon part out of it. You got people who have completed their sentence and have not filed for a pardon to take back their name. Once you've done the time, you qualify to do the pardon to get your name back. So you got people that have all these sentences, they've done the time, they paid their debt, and they haven't filed for the pardon to get their name back. It's simple. You go to the clemency division of your parole board, request a pardon application, and you file the application. Now, once again, we're going to get a little deep in it, but online, you can read all of the requirements. And if you need assistance, you can contact us through our website, send us an email, and we will assist you with that process. All right? And we don't charge anything for that. All right? All we ask is that you share the information. Okay? So you need this clemency issue, because if you ever reincarcerated, the first thing going to do is what? Bring up your criminal background to enhance your punishment. All right. Every time you go apply for a job, it's one thing to have a resume and then be able to show a certificate of clemency. Say, well, yes, I had that. If it still show up. All right. A lot of states will expunge that once you present the pardon. And that's another process where you don't even show up in the database. All right. You've been pardoned. This is what rich politicians and things do after they break the law. They go to prison, come out and be pardoned. You want to get your pardon. All right. And a lot of people don't even file because they only call it the parole board. They don't even know it's the board of pardons. The pardon part comes first. But we've been indoctrinated into this modern slavery, and we think that it's just parole. No. Once you complete your sentence, every misdemeanor, every felony, you need to have pardon. You have to get those off your record. Get that mess off your record. All right? To be pardoned means to be restored. All right? To put back in a particular status. All right. So with those things being said, we're closing. If anything has been useful in this brief segment, push the subscribe button. We pray that the people that support people that are incarcerated, you maintain strength. It's a long struggle. You're going to be rewarded. Whether the person gets out and be successful or not, if you are supporting someone who is incarcerated, you send money, you send books, you go to visit. All right, you're going to be rewarded. Until you listening to that are parents and you are being released, make time for your children. You hear what I say? Make time for your children. I watch a lot of people get out and jump on the treadmill and they think life is running away from them. You've just done years. And you get out and you're going to find, if you really be honest, that people are doing the same thing they were doing before you left because they haven't changed and enhanced and developed in no kind of way. Most of you prisoners, ex-releasees are well-read. You've read things people only dream about reading. They only see in movies. Share some time with your children. That's why I say go to school, where you can slow down, receive the economic benefits, get a skill, and it gives you downtime, time to breathe and relax. Every day reflect over your plan, all right, and pray and bring life to it. And with that, thank you for listening to this particular part 2 of our reentry initiative. Invite people to join our Torchbearer page on Facebook. All right. Like this, make comments to this particular video in any way you feel like you can make this video better. We'd like to hear from your comments. May God bless you. Stay safe. Practice your social distancing and wear your mask.